Bill Mollison, and Jeff Lawton says it often, that all the world's problems can be solved in the garden, and specifically he means in a food forest, right? So this monocropping and garden stuff that we're doing is just, it's not, every time we lay out the ground, the land, all these weeds come, right? Because Mother Earth's trying to heal itself, right? So that's not, when we lay out the land to try to grow in the way that we traditionally farm, Mother Nature's trying to heal itself by growing and using all these weeds, right? And then we spray it back and we cut it back. So when we look to...
So tell people about that, because you're exactly right.
Yeah.
You're saying, so what's the difference between how we typically farm our crops and then like what you're talking about, like a food forest?
Yeah. And it'll tie back into your question prior to that too, about what we're actually doing too. So yeah, monocropping, traditional farming as we know it, at least as this generation knows it, because I'm not going to say it's always been like that. I don't know. I don't question everything we've been taught, right? But if you look at monocropping, you're going in and you're basically saying, like nature wants to be wild. We see it. Like you go to the forest, like it's just growing wild, right? So when we go out to the land and we try to scrape everything off of it, and we say, no, I only want this one thing to grow right here, right? That's not how Mother Nature grows, right? It wants diversity, right? So
it wants a whole bunch of different.
It wants everything.
Stuff.
Yeah, exactly, right? So when we go and we do that, the only way that we can create that environment is we have to spray herbicides, fungicides, pesticides, and rodenticides. And then we have to spray fertilizer because the plant's not getting it from the natural ecosystem. So that's traditional farming, right? Without getting too deep into it. So you come over here to permaculture, into food forests, and to sustainable systems. You are using nature to what it does, right? Again, you always say you look out in the forest, you got the tall trees, the medium trees, the shrubs, the bushes, the stuff on the ground, the stuff in the ground, and the stuff climbing on everything, right? And these are the layers of permaculture, layers of the food forest, right? If you look at that, that's happening naturally without our input. So what we're doing to make this whole thing super simple is we're going in and we're taking the inputs and putting it into the land to where nature will take that and go, cool, we have everything that we need, and bam, it starts creating this sustainable system. That's the simplicity of this whole thing.
Yeah, that's it. Putting the inputs that we're putting into these farms, installing them into the land, into the plants.
And they need a little bit of love in the first couple of years, just like anything that's in its infancy, right? But after that, it takes off on its own.
Let's go.
And that's sustainability.
Yeah. And I love that, man. And guys, by the way, if for people who don't know the word inputs, like inputs is like, hey, the fertilizer that we're going to feed these crops.
Good point.
Inputs coming in from the outside. Yeah. And then food forest, like, hey, let's actually like make it all grow together in that system, if that makes sense to everyone out there.
I would say we're growing our fertilizer. We're growing your cover crops. You're growing, you're growing your mulch, right? Like you're growing all this stuff.
You're growing it all on site.
It's all within it. This is some of the videos that I do is like you're chopping and dropping, you're chopping and stuff and you lay it down and it just feeds the soil. So instead of me having to go to the store and bring something and put it in, and then next year I got to do the same thing. I got to keep bringing in the inputs. If we can build the soil and we can do it right, Mother Nature will start doing it on its own.
I love it, man. Yeah. So you guys, so two things. One, like exactly what you're talking about, we're actually trying to make with our veggie gardens. So I think there's a place for both of them. The food forest is important.
For sure.
No doubt. It all lives there, like for sure. But the veggie garden makes a lot of abundance too. And I think that we could grow our inputs on site, right? With veggie gardens, with our compost bins and our chickens. Like that's what we put in our veggie beds.
And even in a middle row, what if we just widened our garden beds and in the middle we have, some comfrey. We can get into, the
those
certain plants.
Those are the fertilizer crops that are filled with those nutrients.
And you can keep them small. You just chop them and you keep feeding them back into the soil. So now your annual veggie garden it's not a food forest. It's becoming permaculture. Right, it's becoming sustainable
with the principles of permaculture.
Yeah, so you're just incorporating those. So just widen the beds a little bit. Let's do the certain species and the plants in the middle to support the system. That's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to support the system, right?
That's it.
But yes, compost.
So no, dude, that was it. That was the first thing. Growing inputs on site, I love it. But number two is like, so you guys are doing those practices at Food Forest Abundance, right?
Yeah.
Because other landscapers aren't doing that. They cut it all, or they get rid of it all, and easy.
Haul it out.
Yeah, haul it out.
Petroleum fuel, vehicles.
Dude, it's serious.
Time, travel.
So you guys are doing these better practices in your landscapes.
Yeah.
We're in the garden. It's existential.